Hello, traders. Good morning. Welcome to this live webinar, taking a look at ECS in general, elite currency in general, but also our automated trading. We can review the performance in January, of course, the first month of 2021. Anyhow, thank you for joining. Sorry for that small delay. My name is Chris from Elite Currency, of course. And let's start. Yeah, a quick introduction. Yeah, before we start, actually, if you're interested in a sponsorship from one of our partner brokers, OneFX broker, you can get ECS live signals for free for 6 months, for instance, or a discount to one of our EAs as well. So check that out. Otherwise, let's take a look at the performance in January. Now, let's start maybe with some good news. ECS live signals from Nenad Kerkez is up. His account is up at least 30.44%, as you can see. Drawdown is a bit half of that, approximately. So yeah, there are some ups and downs in this curve, but generally positive after trading half a year. Good stats. Last month specifically was slightly lost, but very small, minus 1.44, as you can see. Great win ratio percentage so far, 67 and 71, seems to be an average of almost 70%. And what else can we say here? Average trade length, almost 12 hours. We can take a look at some of the trades. Most trades taken on pound dollar, then gold, pound odd, pound CAD, etc. And down the list we go. Here are the hourly stats. Peak at the beginning of London and the beginning of New York. Daily stats. And as you can see with the current stats, small percentage to go in a major drawdown, only 10% chance, as far as I understand here, to lose 20%. And that drops to 2.5% with a 30% loss, and a 0.5% chance of losing 40%. So great stuff. All right, so yeah, basically overall good performance with ECS Live. January is slightly down. At least that's Nenad's way of trading his signals. Let's take a look at the EAs then in that case, starting with Ultima EA from Mislav Nikolic from Bull Capital. Was a bit of a volatile month. I mean, it first actually started with a dip down, as far as I remember. No, the 31st of December was the dip. Sorry. So pretty much had a good first 2/3 with a rise up on Ultima EA for a good part of the January, as far as I can see here with this. But then unfortunately ended with a losing streak. So I had a winning streak somewhere around halfway January, and I don't know, it was up. I forgot exactly how much, but I guess 20 or 30% ish. But all those losses, I mean, all those gains were fortunately not kept, and it ended up with plus 1% basically. So plus 1% is like break even. Of course, it's really no change on the account. So no loss, no win, plus 1%. Despite the good start, let's say, or middle part, there was a losing streak at the end there that lost that. So no new information on Ultima. Is of course trading with 3% risk rather than 5% risk because of the drawdown situation that we had and still have actually going on. The drawdown did dip below 50 because of the winning streak, went down to 49, but is now slowly moving up again because of those recent losses. Let's take a look at the recent trades. You'll see what happened here. As you can see, part of that winning streak here, and then we had followed by a losing streak. So those gains were unfortunately lost. Besides, yeah, except 1%, obviously, was still part of that. So break-even month for Ultima, basically, from Mislav and Bull Capital. Let's take a look at his other EA, Rush EA. Unfortunately, this one was a loss, 29% loss, even though The risk is also reduced to 3% rather than 5%. So yes, all in all, overall, this is down 30 to 40. It is a substantial drawdown. So we have to see how this develops. The drawdown itself is not passing historical levels that we've seen. I mean, historical levels have had actually deeper deeper drawdowns. So it is within the drawdown expectation when trading with 5% risk. That said, of course, the length of the drawdown I think is slightly higher than or slightly longer than with other periods of time. But maybe a better estimate of that is ecsLIVE's own account rather than our account. Let's take a look at that. 1 second. And yeah, here you can see also down a little bit less, 25%. Losses were a little bit worse on ecsLIVE's account there, 48. But basically, yeah, 3 out of 6 months were losses. There were some great gains there on his account, September, November. Now the trades should be absolutely the same because they're being copied to each other. But there were some differences in the past based on broker differences that could happen. Now that is not possible anymore. So a little bit weaker period, I would say, December, January. I think February and March will be important for this EA to see how it evolves. 25% down at the moment. Regarding Ultima EA, of course, keep in mind that it is down from a mid-April perspective, but from a August 29th perspective, 2019 perspective, it's still up. And yeah, it is a long-term EA, so we'll have to see how this shapes up, not only from a month-to-month perspective, but really also from a yearly perspective, to be honest. That said, of course, trading anything above 2% risk per setup is always high risk, partly because it's just a lot of risk per trade, but also because there could be multiple trades open at the same time. So it's not a total risk of 2% or 3 or 5%, but it's per trade, as we always mention. So there could be a couple of trades open. So of course, if you have 3 or 5% per trade, then if there are 5 trades open, it's 15 or 25% exposure at that moment. So that's a lot, of course, and can create volatile swings up and down. Anything 2% or lower, of course, is a lot more modest, and those swings are going to be less drastic, of course, specifically with 1%. This is I'm not sure which account this is. I think this is the 3%, but let's take a look here. I think if anyone wants to play it safe, 2% is probably max, because anything above 2% per risk per setup is just more aggressive. Anyone who wants to play it safer, let's say it this way, should go max to 1 or 2, I would say, or 0.5 to 2%. Anyone who is a bit more aggressive can go above 2 to 3 to trade 3 or 5. But those are, of course, more volatile approaches. This is 1% risk, and you can see that the drawdown is 14%. It's up 50% after 1.5 years. So this looks less scary. Although, of course, recently you can see here the drawdown period and the sideways period in general since April, right? It's going flat. Doesn't look as drastic, I think. It's because of the risk as well. That's 3%, and this is 5% risk per setup. It's up 380, and this is 3% risk per setup. It's up 303. That's a long-term perspective. But yeah, last month basically +1 and minus on Rush. Let's take a look at LOA.EA from Nenad Kerkez and Carlos, our programmer, it's down as well. Fortunately, it had a losing month in January, so it's in tough waters at this moment and reaching a drawdown that is, I think, relatively one of the highest drawdowns. No, LOA.EA drawdown is actually 35%, historical max. Real account is at 30.7, so it hasn't crossed the threshold of historical max drawdown, but it's getting close to its max. It's 31%, max is 35, so it's getting close to that, but it's not unprecedented necessarily. So it's in rough waters, but it's still within kind of expected boundaries, but certainly having some tough time here, of course. 2021 start minus 17%. So not much good news for January, but except for Zeus EA, again, in EA that has made gains. Let's take a look. Plus 4% on the PAM account and plus 4.9 on our personal account, plus 4.1 on the PAM account. Small difference there, somewhere between 4 and 5% gain in January. And this is typical for Zeus EA so far, what we've seen in live trading and backtesting, steady as it goes each month. Some gain there, as you can see, some decent gain at least. And yeah, you can see up 26% in total here, and a discount plus 57. Good win record, profit factor 1.51, here 1.76, win rate 70%. So yeah, this one is performing nicely. And there's a combination of simple technicals on higher time frames combined with simple price action on higher time frames combined with some technicals on lower time frames in a sort of grid trading approach based on a combination of price action and technicals. So works well, as you can see, and we've had good results in our backtesting. Almost 5 years on backtesting on a 5-minute chart is a lot, and live trading accounts of up to 1.5 years. Let's examine only trading the euro-dollar 5-minute charts. Most of these trades in the London session, as you can see, with the peak on Wednesday. Risk of ruin very small, as you can see. Very negligible, basically. All right, and yeah, no open. I mean, there was sometimes an open loss that created some drawdown, as you can see with this yellow line, of course. But generally, there was short periods of time before it snapped back, and the open trades didn't have any significant impact on the overall balance, as you can see, or growth or equity. That's about it, I guess. I don't see any questions in our chat. I don't see any questions in our Google form either. So if there are, this is now your chance to do so. Let me know. Otherwise, I guess we'll wrap it up for today. This was our overview for January. So generally speaking, as a summary, ECS Live and Ultima, we're around break even. No harm done there. Zeus EA is a decent profit. And the LOA and Russia were, of course, in clearly a negative territory. But other than that, oh yeah, there was some other news I have for you, actually. I almost forgot. Someone asked us, I forgot who, apologies for that, but someone asked us for Russia backtest. And ecsLIVE did do that. And for us, and 2018, let's take a look at the current backtest. So this backtest goes back to Jan 2019. up to June 2020, so it's about 1.5 years. So VSLAF also tested 2018, and with 5% risk per setup, the profit was plus 335%. Let's put that in perspective. In 2019, the profit was looks about like 330, 320. So plus 320. So in 2018, it was plus 335. So it looks like it's slightly better than 2019 even, but that's just very quickly calculated. I don't have a calculator here, just top of my head. So 2018 was very positive. That said, 2017 actually had with 5% risk, had a burn. So the account didn't make it in 2017 with 5% risk. The account did survive with 3% risk, but the drawdown was, of course, substantial. So yeah, that just shows, of course, the risk, fully honest here and transparent, the risk of taking any setup, any trade, or any system with 5% risk, of course. There's always a chance of that. That did happen in 2017 with Russia, if traded with 5% risk, that is. So yeah, 2018, 2019, 2020, 3 years were great, but 2017 was bad. With the 3%, there was the account survived with 3%, and but I'm sure that there are strategies that will not survive even with 3%, of course, right? All years. That's part of risk. That's why I'm saying it. Really, any trading where you want to have lower risk needs to be done with 0.5% or 1% risk. But in any case, 2017 was survived with 3% risk. So yeah, those are the results of those 2017 and 2018. I promised to ask about that backtesting, so there's that info. And yeah, that's about it then. Thank you all for joining. We'll be back next week again, and wish you all great trading. Cheers, bye-bye.